Alright guys, Darren from Honest Money and welcome back to another video. So in this week's video I'm going to be showing you some of the websites and the processes that I go through to find the best possible car leasing deals. Now a couple of months ago I released a video which covered all areas of car leasing, so if you have any questions about car leasing and how it works, make sure you check out that video. It should answer all of the questions that you may have. I'll put a link to it in the top comment and also in the description, so make sure you check that out after this video. Now before I go on any further, I'm just going to click the search button so that skeleton is not too distracting for you guys. So when I looked at this previously in my previous video and I showed you some of the websites I looked at, I had not discovered this website yet, which is leaseloco.com or leaseloco.com, however you want to say it. So I'm going to run through this website first. But I've got a few websites that I want to show you, and also I'm going to give you some general tips around how to get the best possible car leasing deals. So the first tip that I want to give you, and that is I want you to approach your search for a good car leasing deal with an open mind. Now what do I mean by that? If you go onto the leasing websites and the comparison websites with a specific car and specification in mind, you'll probably get stung and you'll probably end up paying over the odds. What I want you to do is approach it with more of a wide criteria. For example, instead of saying I want a Golf R, I want this particular car in this trim, approach it, okay, I want to buy a hot hatch or I want to buy an SUV, because the chances are there will be some cars within certain sectors being pushed, but not necessarily the particular model you want. And if you buy the offer over the car, you'll nearly always get a much better deal. So that's the first thing I want you to do, is keep an open mind to other cars that may be available that may meet your criteria, even if it's not the exact car or the exact specification you had in mind. The next thing I want you to think about is avoiding optional extras where possible. In pretty much all cases, if you add an optional extra onto your lease deal, that cost will be 100% added to the cost of your lease and either spread across your monthly payments, or you can pay it all upfront as part of the deposit. The next thing I want you to keep in mind is sometimes the fees or the admin fees or the booking fees that are quoted on the broker websites, these are often negotiable, and sometimes if you can find a main dealer, a local main dealer or a dealer across the country that can match those prices, they won't actually charge you an admin or a booking fee. So sometimes those fees it is possible to negotiate or get around in entirety if you go with a main dealer. And finally, I want you to be ready to commit. Some of the best deals will only last 24 hours. I've seen some great deals come on and go off in the same day. So have a good idea of what you like, and then if these deals come on and you think it's a really good deal, don't be scared of pulling the trigger because you may miss out. You can always backtrack, you might cost you a small admin fee. So be ready to commit and put yourself in the best possible position to secure yourself a great car leasing deal. So with those things in mind, let's go back to these websites and see if we can find a good offer for a particular requirement. So we've just, as you've just seen, I've just clicked through to the search functionality of Lease Loco. The first car at the top is an Audi A4 and lots of smart cars as well. So let's just say at the moment we want a car that's good for commuting and will look okay on the drive. So the A4 will probably tick those boxes. This one here in particular is a diesel, so that's going to be okay for commuting. And this is in the Technic spec, which is a reasonable spec. I think the next one up is, the top one is the S-Line spec. That's why that's £250 per month, where the Technic is £233 per month, whereas the deposit is £2,344 versus £2,498. So looking at Lease Loco, they have this score here, which is their own individual score they give these leases. They don't reveal exactly how it's calculated, but generally speaking it is based on the historic price of that car to give you an idea of whether it's particularly cheap at this moment or not. So the fact that these are rated at 95, in Lease Loco's opinion, means these cars are on very good offers. So let's click on this one here, which is the cheapest one. So for £233 per month, you could potentially be driving a brand new Audi A4. Obviously you do have to cost up the best part of $2,400 up front. So once you click through to the deal, you can then play about with the upfront payments, so depending on how much deposit you want to put down, also your annual mileage, and then the term itself. Now, like I said, I covered lots of this in my previous video where I went into car leasing in much more detail, but what I want to do in this video is just focus on how to find out whether this is actually a good deal or not and compare this to some other websites. So Lease Loco is a great place to start. So what I do is once I found a good offer on Lease Loco, I go to other comparison sites that I like using to see whether I can find it any cheaper. Now, quite often you will find the same offer on many of these websites, but sometimes you will find one website in particular has a cheaper offer than the other. So let's go on to my next favorite, which is Cars to Buy. And if you go to carstobuy.co.uk and go to the personal lease and deal section, you can then go through the search criteria to see what the offers are. So that was an Audi A4, I think it was the saloon, so I'm going to have to choose A4 because saloon is actually an option there. Let me just double check what it was on Lease Loco. A4 saloon, and then let's match this payment. So we've got 9 months up front, 2 years and 10,000. So lease term is a 2-year lease. Initial payment was 9 months and the annual mileage was 10,000 miles per year. This is on the Audi A4, so let's click search and see what we get. So the first one to come up is the 35 TDI Technic with the S-tronic gearbox, which I'll just scroll down so you can see that in full detail there, which I believe is an exact copy of this, and let's take a look. It's probably from the same company. So yeah, RGW are selling it there, and it's also the same company there. So this is what I was just saying, is sometimes these car leasing comparison sites will return the same offer, but it's always worth checking all of them, as that isn't always the case. The next thing I'll do is go to Leasing.com. This used to be my favourite website, especially when it's called Contract Hire and Leasing.com. Lately, there doesn't seem to be as many deals on this site. Now, I spoke to a couple of brokers and they said it's because their fees got crazy high, so they stopped actually listing on this site. But it's always still worth checking out whether there are any good deals on this site. Sometimes there may be a deal on here which isn't available elsewhere. So we choose the A4, actually, so I'm going to have to go back there because I wanted the A4 diesel saloon, and we wanted the Technic trim. So you can see there it's available from 254, which isn't what's actually showing here, despite the fact it says 254 at the top. If we click onto the cheapest deal, which is classed by best value, click onto this, and then if we play about with the actual profile here, we can then get a direct comparison. So 9 months up front, 2-year deal, and 10,000 miles per year. Click update, we can see they're 298. So Leasing.com in this case haven't got anywhere close to Lease Loco or Cars to Buy. Now the next place I would go to is Whatcar. Now Whatcar leasing is very good in some ways. It's not so great in others. I think their actual search and filtering system it could use a lot of improvement when you compare it to something like Cars to Buy, but all of the deals on Whatcar leasing are from main dealers. So sometimes these guys are cheaper, and also, like I said earlier on, they won't charge you an admin fee or a booking fee. So it can be a really good way, once you've found a deal, is contacting a main dealer you find on Whatcar to see if they can do it any cheaper and without those admin and booking fees. So let's go to, so we're going to be looking at cars, we're looking at a personal lease, we're looking at the Audi A4, what have we got here, A4 diesel saloon. Initial payment, we can only choose 6 months, so it's going to be hard to compare exactly, but I'll show you how we can do that in a moment. So let's see what the cheapest one they bring up is. So the cheapest one they've got here is one from Huddersfield Audi, and this is for the same Audi A4 35 TDI Technic with the S-tronic gearbox, but you can see the actual overall profile of 24 months and 8,000 doesn't match up with the other quotes. So let's see if we can tweak this to match. Now sometimes, especially with Whatcar, they don't upload all of the profiles, so you might choose a different payment profile and they say get in touch. So sometimes you need to reverse engineer this to the other website. So if we go back to 6 months, so this was 6 months, 8,024. For comparison purposes, let's go back to Lease Loco and change that to the same profile. So if we go back to this one, and if we change this to 6 months up front and 8,000 miles per year, they would work out at £283 per month with 1,937 up front, whereas the Whatcar offer is showing $249 per month with 1,497 down. Actually, that is a stonking deal on an A4, especially with the auto gearbox. So if someone's looking for an A4 at the moment, get on yourself onto Whatcar Leasing and take a look. So that goes to show, by looking at these sites, Lease Loco and Cars to Buy, which are generally comparing more brokers, you will still see some main dealers on there, versus Whatcar, where you'll see just main dealers only. Sometimes you can get some really good savings between the two. Quite often the brokers will be cheaper, but sometimes as well, Whatcar Leasing and the main dealers will be cheaper. But it definitely shows the benefit in comparing all sources, as you never know where you're going to find the best deals. Then finally, if you're struggling for inspiration or if you want other opinions on lease deals, I like to go to the Pistonheads forum. They have a very, very good thread, which is onto volume 9 now. So if you go to Pistonheads, if you just search Pistonheads Leasing, it'll pretty much take you to this forum or thread anyway. But if you go to the Gassing forum, make sure you go into the car buying section. they have a thread here. You can see it's on volume 9 already, so there have been hundreds and hundreds of pages and thousands of posts about car leasing deals. And if you click onto these, you'll see posts from lots of people who are interested in car leasing, all sharing some of the lease deals they've found and also offering their opinions. So if you found a lease deal and you're not sure whether it's any good, post it on Pistonheads and I'm sure they will put you straight if it's not a great deal. But it can be a really good source of new car leasing deals, so make sure you check out this thread. So hopefully you guys have found that useful, going through the comparison sites, taking a look on Pistonheads, and hopefully you guys can use that to find a good car leasing deal. If you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate if you could just take a moment, scroll down, hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos from me, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in next week's video.